Welcome back to Jersey Matters. The opioid epidemic has hit New Jersey as hard as any state. Rehab helps, as it does with any addiction, but what happens after rehab? Here to help people who went through rehab and then have to face reality, Amy Budinich is the president of Root to Rise. Thank you very much for being here. Explain what you do. Explain what your organization does.
Thanks, Larry, for having us. Our organization, we have two components of our organization. We run about 10 to 15 outreach programs, meaning that we teach yoga and meditation as a coping skill in treatment. So in rehabs and detoxes for both adolescent and adult population, in juvenile detention centers, in shelters, and in schools. And then in addition to that, we have in Belmar, New Jersey, a location where we have free meetups, and this is not to be replaced with any other traditional 12-step program, but a place where people can come and we have free resources for them, meaning yoga, meditation, mindfulness techniques, community of support, helping you navigate resources, whatever it is that you're kind of needing help.
Right, a major problem has been, now I talked about the opioid crisis because that's in the news all of the time and the state is trying to deal with that, but you're talking about any addiction.
Yes.
Any addiction, because in all addictions there is a rehab program. You mentioned 12 steps. But one of the problems is once you get through rehab, you have to go back, and many times you go with the same social setting. You end up going to parties where alcohol and or drugs or whatever your addiction is readily available, or out in the clubs.
Yeah.
How do you remove people from those settings, or do you help them deal with that?
Help them to deal with it more so, because you still want to live life and you still want to be able to be a part of your family, your communities where there's parties and these other things. But through the practices that we try to teach and coping skills, really so that you can be in any situation and feel safe. And then there's a community of people that are there for you if you need help or need to bring somebody along with you.
So tell me personally, and then if there's any statistics, how yoga helps.
So I'm a big proponent of working everything that's available to you. So talk therapy, traditional counseling, all these things are very important. But there's some stuff that's still held within the physical body. Also, if trauma has happened, as far as sexual abuse or physical abuse, we allow the client to then get integrated back into their own being in a place where it's safe.
So you're not just talking about addictions. If you're talking about sexual abuse victims, then it's not an addiction. You're talking about people that are being victimized.
Sometimes we see more so than not that they kind of go hand in hand.
Really?
So if you're trying to kind of deal with something traumatic that has happened to you, generally you're reaching for something outside of yourself, be it substance of some sort, to kind of numb the pain. So
some trauma in your life leads you to your addiction, and yoga helps you deal with the trauma?
It's kind of this whole practice of just breathing before reacting or responding. In active addiction, when you're experiencing either something that's uncomfortable, like an uncomfortable emotion, or an urge to use, you generally have those feelings and just act on them. What we're trying to do is create this whole practice of breathing before reacting or responding. So we have awareness around our behaviors, our thoughts, as to, hey, I'm uncomfortable in this moment, I really want to stop at the liquor store, I want to call my dealer, or whatever else the action used to be. And just kind of pausing for a moment and then practicing whatever it is that we can to soothe ourselves, whether it is a practice of breathing, whether it is meditation, whether it is yoga, whatever it may be.
Do you have any analytics on your recovery rate? Have people been able to, or even just some evidence of people saying to you, wow, I wouldn't have made it without you?
We do hear that, not a lot, you know, and my biggest thing is that has nothing to do with me or the yoga. That is this integration that the person was able to get deeper connected with themselves and their being. But through the practice of yoga, in treatment, we do hear that a lot. You know, at the end of a yoga session at a local rehab, more often than not, there's 1 or 3 people that come up after. And
I'm trying to understand it. This is from somebody that doesn't do yoga, so you have to try to explain that to me. Is it discipline? Is that what it enters some discipline into your life?
Yeah, definitely. And more, I don't want to say control, but, you know, if I was uncomfortable talking to you right now, maybe my mind would tell me, like, all right, like, let's get out of this chair. But I could sit here, try to find a way to practice breathing before reacting and just kind of
that was too
ride it out.
specific of an example.
Yeah, but just ride it out. So sometimes it's like that in a posture. You know, someone will be holding a posture. You work out, I'm sure. You're doing nothing. You know, but you're holding something that's uncomfortable, but not pain.
Right.
You know.
It helps you deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what it does. And now, if somebody's interested in your program, how do they get a hold of you?
They contact us through our website. It's www.roottorise, ROOTTORISENJ.com, or 732-739-RISE.
Great. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Amy Budinich is the president of Root to Rise. Coming up next on Jersey Matters, he's 93 years old and he's the newly elected mayor of a Jersey community. You'll meet him next on Jersey Matters.